Whether he goes by Jack Napier, Arthur Fleck, or nothing because he's a tiny Lego man, Joker is the pinnacle of not just comic book villainy but many other mediums too. Since making the jump to video games in the late 1980s, there have been many versions of this purple-clad sadist to choose from, but which one comes out on top? I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and this is ranking every video game Joker from worst to best. Number 11, Batman the Caped Crusader, Batman 1989/1990, Return of the Joker, Revenge of the Joker, and Batman the Animated Series on Game Boy. Joker in games had to start somewhere, and with Tim Burton's theatrical interpretation of The Dark Knight exploding at the box office, plans for a swath of tie-in video games were quickly made. The issue that plagued all these titles, as each version of the Clown Prince was trying to live up to Jack Nicholson's iconic portrayal, or for the animated series Mark Hamill's, was that gaming clearly had a ways to go when it came to anything truly cinematic or in terms of capturing an actual performance. That's not to say these games weren't serviceable enough, and people were able to rely on their imagination more prominently during such a flat era, but the first appearances of a digital Joker, despite being profitable, are at the bottom of our list. Number 10, Batman Dark Tomorrow, voiced by Alan Enlow. Oh, what could have been? For Batman's first and only GameCube exclusive, anticipation was pretty high. Sadly though, for Joker, his lifeless model came with a personality that just felt embarrassing. For whatever reason, the developers thought it would be feasible for this Joker to play an organ like an old pensioner in a church, which admittedly is a first, with interactions between him and Batman feeling more like a friendly reminisce between old friends than someone encountering their arch nemesis. Making Jared Leto's take look Oscar-worthy, Dark Tomorrow gets almost everything wrong, and retrospectively was a giant waste of time. Number 9, Mortal Kombat vs DC Universe, voiced by Richard Epcar. Okay, on to better things, at least in terms of the games themselves. Despite the DC roster containing murderous psychopaths in the form of Joker, Deathstroke, and Lex Luthor to name just a few, a historically bad decision at Warner Bros. Saw all blood and guts vetoed for the DC roster in their own Mortal Kombat game, regardless of a character's nature. With many fans buying into the obvious appeal of a fully let loose Joker you can play as, instead came mass disappointment, as the Clown Prince would kill someone off screen with little to no implications of any violence at all. 1 year prior to this in the comics, Joker had murdered Jason Todd in cold blood, crippled Barbara Gordon, and even poisoned a group of children with candy floss, but playable game violence was apparently too much. Number 8, Batman Vengeance, voiced by Mark Hamill. Man, younger me loved this game, and though Joker's plan boils down to just fighting Batman in hand-to-hand combat over and over, this being one of the first times you could play the animated series versions in 3D was still something special. Still, in the grand scheme of video game Jokers, this one came with lackluster writing across the board, and an in-game model that looked severely compromised on the production side. Though it was nice seeing Joker more fully realized in 3D for the first time alongside Harley Quinn, it's underwhelming how much there is to celebrate beyond surface level appreciation. Still though, just saying, I had a lot of fun. Number 7, Mortal Kombat 11, voiced by Richard Epcar. In Joker's second delve into the Netherrealm, he doesn't only stand out from the crowd based on aesthetic, but in a rare turn of events given the character, this Joker is an overpowered martial arts beast. After entering the roster post-launch, he shook up the foundations of the game by instantly becoming a fan favorite, and many players opted to use Joker as their main for a plethora of extremely good reasons. His zoning ability is top tier, the versatility and humor of his moveset is unmatched by the majority of fighters, and his finishers are finally in line with that signature sinister personality as Warner Bros. Learned their lesson from MK vs DC. Number 6, Injustice/Injustice 2. Although he feels like an instrumental part of the mythos, and that's certainly the case story-wise, Injustice 1 and 2's Joker gets very little to do once the plot is in motion. Why? Because he is the plot. In one of the darkest storylines ever told, Joker tricks Superman into murdering a pregnant Lois Lane, kickstarting the Injustice verse as Kent then doubles down on authoritarian rule, killing Joker in an attempt to never let something similar happen again. Whilst a phenomenal primer for what's to come, it does leave the Clown Prince out of action. Come Injustice 2, we had a vastly improved character design and a hallucinatory fight where Harley Quinn battles Joker's influence on her psyche inside her mind. All told, it's an effective, memorable portrayal of the character, but by definition of the risk taken to distinguish this universe, not one Joker is actively part of for very long. Number 5, The Adventures of Batman and Robin. Sometimes a game just nails the look of its source material, and this 16-bit tie-in to the legendary animated Batman TV show came with an incarnation that's just pixel perfect. moving with just the right amount of menace and showboating flair. Almost 3 decades since it was released, there's nothing quite like 2D animated Joker in 2D video game form. Even more complementary to the character's design are an array of awesome imaginative levels, backed by visual and sound effects that were groundbreaking for the time. All this added an extra layer of personality to every interaction between Batman and Joker, creating a firm favourite for millions of fans that's sadly quite hard to access today without original hardware. Honestly, put this on Nintendo Switch Online, PS Plus Premium Game Pass or whatever else, and you'll have a social media dominating win. Number 4. The LEGO Batman series. Voiced by Christopher Corey Smith in LEGO Batman 2 and 3. With the inception of the original LEGO Batman, in one fell swoop, Joker went from violence to silence, meaning the character's signature whims would have to come through slapstick comedy or just animation alone. This dependence on body language is what made the pre-voice acted LEGO games so incredible, and LEGO Batman's Joker is one of the best minifigs of that entire run. Although this went down well enough across the first game, we were really not ready for how good Christopher Corey Smith's vocal talents were going to be, taking all the tenets of the character and just sprinting with them. I wouldn't be surprised if this Joker is a whole younger generation's very own Mark Hamill. So maniacal, energetic, charismatic, and deliciously evil is Smith's delivery, it's up there with the very best. Sure, the target demographic was young children, so this Joker is more subdued than others on this list, but when so much raw Joker energy exudes from every plastic pore, it creates a version of the character that's just delightful to watch. Number 3. Batman the Telltale series, voiced by Anthony Ingruber. This interpretation deserves props for the idea alone. Since the inception of Joker, there have been many versions, but never have we seen one corrupted by innocence by Batman. Other than these stellar Arkham titles, this is the most horrific representation of the character, as we watch Joker go from self-assured hero all the way through to confused psychopath. After initially meeting Bruce Wayne in a mental asylum where they're both patients, we're introduced to a docile man by the name of John, or so it seems. As the story unfolds, John gradually spirals further and further into madness, devolving into what he was destined to become, and what he becomes is one of the most phenomenally original interpretations of Joker seen in the last few decades. The overarching story of Telltale's Batman is fantastic, acting is top-notch, and the ferocity of Joker in full materializes at the perfect time. Number 2. Batman Arkham Origins, voiced by Troy Baker. At the time, this radical shift of the Arkham timeline did not go down well. Fans and critics pointed to plot holes regarding Bruce's combat abilities no longer making sense pre and post Asylum. Many of us simply didn't like Roger Craig Smith's take on Bruce Wayne, and without Rocksteady at the helm, it was easy to think the whole thing was a cash-in, which it arguably was when we're talking about Warner Brothers greenlighting the project. However, Origins has slowly accrued its fans, being reappreciated over time thanks to a great script and, best of all, a stunning turn from Troy Baker as Joker. Usually associated with gruff or bland characters, Baker's fireworks display of a performance has all the snarl and venom of a younger, creepier Joker discovering Batman and Gotham overall. Origins wasn't just about Batman's history, but Joker's too, and far too many Arkham fans missed out on a set of levels and sequences that let you literally play through Joker's very mindset, as he realizes his connection to Batman and the eternal rivalry that will come next. Even Rocksteady didn't do the psyche of Joker this much justice, and with such a sincere attempt at breathing life into the character, it deserves to be celebrated. And number 1, Batman Arkham Asylum, City and Night, voiced by Mark Hamill. Potentially Mark Hamill's best voice performance or his most inspired performance outside Luke Skywalker, this exceptional take is straight up iconic. The performance millions of fans try and fail to replicate, and an embodiment of the character that dominates pop culture and video game history simultaneously. After a string of mediocre Batman games across the 2000s, a failed Dark Knight tie-in being given to no-name as Rocksteady changed everything. It was the perfect combination of every possible element. The rhythmic combat system, Kevin Conroy returning as Batman, gorgeous graphics, larger-than-life character models, a previously untapped setting, and the perfect antagonist. Having Joker almost immediately gain the upper hand was a masterstroke, leaving Hamill to have a lot of fun as Joker is then constantly in your ear and all around Arkham Asylum. From speaker systems to random TVs, whenever he appears, he just steals the show. One of the best, if not the singular most exemplary Joker-centric saga ever written in 100 years of Batman history, this is an easy number 1. At least, that's what I think. Let me know your favorites down in the comments below, and please subscribe to the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com, and I'll catch you soon.